wherever possible, engage the student by giving them ownership of the idea behind the experiment. This isn't always possible, but where you can, make them do work which is testing what they think is interesting. You need to guide them in that in terms of providing a framework for it. But it is thinking their way into the problem that is just as important as thinking their way out of it. They need to formulate problems in the proper way in order to get the proper answers out of them.
The Quinta São Pedro is for 35 years now a field center. Besides the buildings here on site, we have several places which are very nice to explore. We have passing a small forest. We have also our area with the fruit trees, and of course we have our own bees on this big land plot, and we are doing our own honey. Beside our animal valley with goats, horses, chicken. Further down we have the geese and ducks. We have a lot of universities coming here to the site to do their practical field courses.
More of the detailed introduction to both the Quinta and the field course.
I'm Tom Reda. I'm a lecturer at Nottingham, and I am the convener of the behavioural ecology field course.
You overlook something when you've done a PCA if you focus only on the first principle.
We spend most of the time with the students working on a project in a group of 4 or 5 students, and they focus on one particular research question with one particular study system.
Yeah, they are both facing the same way.
So that's 1, 1, 1. Today we've been looking for some paper wasps. And if we find one, we've been writing down the bearings, the number of cells, the number of eggs.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
And trying to catch the wasps, that's been the hard bit because they're quite active because it's a warm day. This is quite difficult.
One of the birds.
We're going back so we can take photos of the wasps, work out how heavy they are, how long they are, and then mark them so we can identify different wasps.
So there's a really important field skill, I think, is patience, but it's a special kind of patience. It's understanding that if you keep chipping away by collecting data, by watching your system slowly evolve over time, you reach a level of understanding that you just cannot reach by a kind of quick-fire snapshot look at a system.
So we're working on top shells. We've got a lot of different levels of exposure along the shoreline. So we're seeing what kind of grouping they have, how they deal with the exposure.
Make some notes about what type of habitat. So they're in a... Now the more I look, look at these things. 1, 2, 3, 4...
Doing a mixture of stuff on the shore here, doing some stuff in the lab. Done a lot of experimental design for it, so I think particularly in top shells we've been doing a lot more designing of our own thing. Like, we kind of had a very small starting point of these are your species, see what you can find along the different levels of the shore.
Bird in previous years.
My name's Kate Durrant and I am one of the course leaders at the field course. And I lead the bird projects. So I've inherited the extremely long-running birds and their mites project that we run out here.
Did we start doing that at the same time?
Where's this? Bring it there. Yeah. Muscle.
There's a chiff-chaff bird. We've always been interested in helping students and working with them and training them in bird ringing and trying to raise the profile of the protection of birds and the issues that's around birds declining. So we enjoy the project, we enjoy coming here anyway. So.
Put it down on the flat of your hand and release. Voila.
Yeah. There's a lot of jobs to be done, so while we are getting data off the birds, they're putting it into the computer or they're checking feathers under the microscope. So there's loads of jobs to be done. And when our physical handling of the birds is over for the day, the students still have a lot of data entry to get on with.
The two main times we catch is first thing in the morning, just as it's getting light when the birds are active, they're singing and displaying, re-establishing their territories. And then there's a quiet period from mid-morning to mid-afternoon, and then it picks up again early evening to late evening when the birds are again singing and displaying.
I'm a zoology student. I went on the field course in 2017. Every year, someone wins the Barnard Prize. It's awarded to the student or students who can have put that bit of extra effort in, have good quality of work. And I won the Barnard Prize. Chris Barnard was a lecturer at the University of Nottingham from 1978 until he passed away in 2007. He was a key member of the Life Science Department focusing on whole animal biology, and he was integral to the setting up of the Behavioural Ecology field course in Portugal.
Chris is quite striking because he was a cool guy. I think the first time I ever met him, he had dark glasses on and he had his long hair. We were very pleased with his hair. But he had a dirty white t-shirt on and dirty jeans. And quite hard to think of him as a lecturer, but I've heard a lot about how he used to lecture, and he was always known as one of the best lecturers in the department. So I remember one student telling me that in order to illustrate some frog call, he used to jump up on the desk and imitate being a frog.
Chris really educated me in the ways of teaching and running a field course, and more generally, you know, he was one of my early mentors in my job.
You know, here you've got this man, a top biologist. He was a wonderful artist. He was superb at music. He's a wonderful raconteur. Quite extraordinary character.
I was married to Chris for nearly 31 years. We were undergraduates together in zoology at Liverpool. He'd always been fascinated by animals since he was a small child, because he was an only child, and he used to go around collecting bugs, worms, slow worms, anything he could find, and horrify his mother by bringing them home.
I don't know what year this is, but it'll be an early field course with Francis and around the fire where they're spit roasting.
He was very happy there, I know that. You know, he just loved the sort of evenings around the campfire. Chatting, playing music, and he did enjoy very much being around young people.
This is him as he liked to be, relaxed in Portugal, playing the guitar.
It was just a lovely, calm spot with, you know, the wildflowers and the sun shining.
Every year faces us with different challenges. This year, for example, we've got off to a really cold, damp start. That's probably the most difficult thing to deal with, is the unpredictability of not just the weather conditions, but also what the weather's been like in the lead up to the field course.
Another one for Alex.
What we're doing is we're looking at centipedes, split into groups on behaviour and groups on habitat. We've brought them back here to investigate if they react to different species, or if they react, or what they do within reaction to their own species, whether we see aggression or just what we see and what could that prospectively mean.
I'm in the centipede habitat group with Andy and Leah. What we've been doing the last few days is we've been going out to the Timex and the Quinta, and we're just turning over different objects and looking for centipedes, and we've been recording loads of data on like 10 different variables: coverage, moisture of soil, pH of soil, prey and predators nearby, to try and find patterns.
Yeah, he's just gone. Did he move? Did he try and leave? He went.
We're trying to see if they've got different preferences with different objects and how like moisture and stuff affects it.
I think it is G on smooth, but you have to click.
That the small individuals are significantly more likely to have the inside of the
That is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh?
Really,
That's really cool.
At the moment,
Having ownership of data, especially when it's data that you can honestly tell a student is nobody's ever collected data quite like this before, is I think fantastically empowering. Also, it can be a real challenge to get to data. So we, had plenty of projects where you spend a week thrashing around, and at the end of it, you've got little to show for it. But when you've got those hard-won numbers on a spreadsheet or notes in a notebook, I think, and then patterns emerge from them, answers to questions emerge from them. That's the moment where there's a real reward for your labours. And the culmination at the end of the 2 weeks is coming together for a whole morning of talks where each group tells us about their findings, and that, you know, the level of the performance that we get in that final kind of almost like conference symposium is really fantastic. It wouldn't look out of place in a typical professional ecology or behaviour conference.
I was not lucky enough to know Chris, so I was brought to the university to pick up the teaching that was left behind when he sadly passed on. But you know, I feel his legacy in this course and in the way his colleagues speak about him. So you know, I feel like I would definitely like to. We're engaging in real science where we don't know what the answers are, we don't know it's going to work, and that's the real Barnard effect, getting students involved in novel inquiry, getting them excited about science, getting them excited even about the statistical processes that give us those answers, those results. This course has created so many scientists. This is the point where students, it's make or break whether they're going to pursue research science or they realise it's not for them, and that's fine too. But that's the real effect. It lets people know what science is, what the scientific process is, why we're excited about it, why we keep going with it, because you have those genuine discoveries.
He was very clear that field biology was really, really important. He thought that all biology students should be exposed to whole organism biology in the field. There are umpteen people in positions in British universities who started their interest in being an academic on the field course. Inspirational. And Chris's vision was that it would operate like that. And it did. In no small measure due to his influence and his example.
The lasting effect is that a lot of people that he has taught as undergraduates or his postgrads, postdocs, etc., have pursued careers in the subject and continue to do so and have done well in it. And hopefully he was a large part within that.
Rarely are you going to be inspired by a textbook. So having somebody like Chris who was able to be operating at the very top of his game internationally in terms of the quality of the science he was doing, and yet level with students, convey that, you know, the basic interest in the subject to students in a way that was accessible for them. That's a rare combination, and it's that triggers, I think, or triggered many a student to have a lifelong love for the subject and to want to become behavioural ecologists, conservationists, etc.